Take advantage of the Boxing King Media discount at BYD Sheffield. You can get this amazing car for £269 per month with a £269 deposit. Details in the description.
So let's jump in. I think the first fight I'd want to talk about is the Callum Smith, Josh Buatsi. The narrative was Buatsi is potentially catching Callum Smith at the right time, old age, been in some wars, etc. But we saw Callum Smith, I don't want to say turn back the clock because I don't think he's ever shown that he's aged. But incredible performance and a great fight.
Right, what did I predict?
You predicted, let me check my messages, Callum Smith on points.
Right, so was I right?
You was correct.
Fantastic, I'm right. Callum Smith is a quality operator. He's been around a long time, and he's been in some hard fights, and I think you got to realise the depth of him when he took a bit of a, and this is not, I'm not saying this in a derogatory way, he took a bit of a 12-round beating off Canelo, but he could have easily at any point in that fight made a case, his arm had, looked like it was broken. He could have easily at any point made a case for pulling out of that fight, but he didn't. He stuck in it for 12 rounds, and his arms were in a mess. And I think as a fighter, even when you're getting beat up, if you can manage to go through that hard part and finish on your feet, psychologically, it gives you so much mental strength. Then he went in with Bivol, and what was that, 5 or 6 rounds?
I can't remember.
Yeah, it was early. One of the big got beat there, but that's a very high level he's been operating at. And then he comes to Buatsi, who, for me, Joshua Buatsi is a good fighter, but I just don't think he's ever pushed himself to the level he should be. I don't think he's had enough momentum. I don't think he's had enough commitment to the game in that sense. He's boxed very rarely. No consistency, and I think on Saturday night the level showed that Callum Smith at 34 still got what it takes to be what people are considering the next level fighter coming through, even though Buatsi's probably about the same age. And is he 33, Buatsi?
I'll find out for you.
He's about 33. So that's the next generation coming through is Callum Smith's put him to bed.
31.
Yeah, 31. So, Callum Smith's 3 years older. You would think Joshua Buatsi, after his win over Willie Hutchinson, he was going to be making waves, and this was his breakout fight. And it was an entertaining fight. It was good, but he did get well beat, Buatsi. So fair play to Callum Smith. What are the options for him now? It'd be interesting. Does he fight Bivol? Does he, go in with BETERBIEV? Who's he fight next? It'd be interesting who they're going to match him up with, because
David Benavidez wants to fight.
Well, that's going to be an hard fight for him, but hopefully he's making the money. He's been at it long enough. I think he's been the most successful of the Smith brothers. And fair play to him. I don't know him personally. I've had people spar him.
Great guy.
I took Kell Brook down to spar him a long time ago when Callum was still an amateur, and he sparred Kell and gave a very good account of himself. Kell was a pro at the time, so I know all the Smiths, but I don't particularly know Callum personally. But listen, on a boxing level, you can't fault him really, because he's gone in with everybody, and you never really making excuses.
I would genuinely will say a lovely bloke. I don't think anybody could ever say that they've ever seen him,
and afterwards,
trash talk.
stating him afterwards.
Yeah,
he looked like he got
16 stitches he had.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And like I say, you don't want too many of them fights, and hopefully he gets 1 or 2 more big fights and packs up and saves himself, because you don't need to, he makes his money and gets out of there alive, so to speak.
Indeed. Shakur Stevenson, Josh Padley, full-time electrician, got the call 4 days before. Shakur Stevenson, who's been billed as a pound-for-pound level fighter, he got a lot of criticism because it took him a while to stop Josh because the notice he had. So, but Shakur's made it quite open that he's got bad hands. So, just want to get your opinion on Shakur. Is he a pound-for-pound level fighter, and why did it take him so long to stop Josh Padley?
Well, that's a bit of a discredit to Josh Padley. Josh Padley, look, he's a working lad. He's had a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, which is absolutely fantastic. And,
You predicted that as a stoppage, by the way.
Yeah, but I think anybody would predict that as a stoppage, and that's not being disrespectful to Josh, just the circumstances. You've got to look at Would it be possible for Josh Padley to have got through 12 rounds with Shakur Stevens? Yeah, and I'll tell you why it would be. Because it's no different to Matthew Hatton getting through 12 rounds with Canelo. If you've had preparation and time, you think, I'm up against it, you can prepare. And what did he do, 9 rounds?
Yeah.
Right. He could have got through the next 3 probably with a proper training camp and finished on his feet. And bad hands, well, you can have your hands injected before a fight so you don't feel your hands. There's lots of ways around that problem if you've got bad hands.
You allowed to do that?
You're allowed to do it. You can. It's perfectly legal as long as you declare everything on your forms. So that's no excuse. So you would have thought that if he's a pound for pound, he would know a different way how to beat Josh Padley instead of just trying to pound him to death. So fair play to Josh, you know, exceptionally well. I've seen things about him saying he's going to pack up his work and do this and do that and carry on with boxing. What he needs to realise is he wants to speak to people like Cole Frutch or Kid Galahad who've made money and invested it in property. Do you understand? That's where what he wants. He's had a big windfall of money and he needs that well invested. He wants to carry on working because he's boxing that big fight being a working man. He don't need to take time off because really it's like kind of the wrong investment with his time. He might not ever get that opportunity again or get anywhere near that kind of money. So, you know, it's a one-off. You've got to see it as a one-off thing. And he's put him in front in life. Do you know what I mean? That's what he's done. You think of the other fighters from Doncaster, the McDonald brothers, Jamie, they've had fortunes. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, whether they've managed to keep it or not, I don't know. But those opportunities come for a short period of time. And you've got to use it wisely. You know, as boxers, and boxers always think there's a next payday, there's a next payday, there's a next payday. The chances of Josh getting another big payday like that or anywhere near are probably very, very remote. So, you know, see it as a one-off, invest well, and just live your life like you've normally been doing. Don't get hooked on this thing, oh, I'm going to be a world champion, I'm going to make a fortune. Even when you're a world champion, when you first get there, you're not making fortunes unless you're a massively, massively high-level, high box office fighter. It's just, you just don't get that money.
Invest wisely is the advice from Dom Ingle. Next fight, KABAYEL ZHANG. You picked KABAYEL to win on points, but he got the stoppage.
Yeah.
Impressive KABAYEL. A lot of people are raving about him now.
He got dropped, didn't he?
He got dropped.
He got back off the floor.
And they'd done him to the body.
And that's why I thought it might go points, and I watched him. I thought he's solid. But like I say, he worked on ZHANG with them body shots and finished him, and, you know, fair play to him. So, yeah, good fight.
Could he become a world champion based on what you've seen?
Possibly.
Okay. Madrimov, Virgil Ortiz. You picked Madrimov on points. Virgil got the job done and showed his boxing ability.
I just thought Madrimov, after his performance against
Crawford,
that this might be his time, but obviously not. He just got outboxed, and you know, that's the way boxing is. But
to be fair, everyone I spoke to Spencer Fear on, he had Madrimov winning, and I got quite a funny video where I was interviewing Spencer after the fight. Virgil was stood behind us, and I made Virgil jump in the interview, and then he explained to Spencer how he outboxed him. He had all these notes of the mistakes Madrimov makes because he's sparred him before.
Yeah, and you know what? I would say that he did outbox him. It was an hard fight. I thought it was a close fight, but he did. You know, technically better because he is a bit one-dimensional, Madrimov, but he's tough, and I just thought he might just plough through. But the kid had got all his little moves worked out, and he beat him fair and square. So, you know, that's that fight out of the way.
Next one, Hamza SHEERAZ against Carlos Adames for the WBC middleweight title. You picked SHEERAZ on points to win. Obviously, it was a draw. What do you make of it?
And you know what I'd like to say? Well, you know, I weren't far off the mark, but I gave SHEERAZ the benefit of the doubt in that fight, coming to that fight, because I thought I've never given him much credit. I never will do after being a fighter who hits people when they're on the floor when he boxed Bradley Skeet. And I keep bringing this up, and people like to kind of override it. There's a procedure in boxing, and there's really a gentleman's code, so to speak. And you'll see this. It's a good clip on social media. You see Golovkin when he knocks people around, and I think one fellow went down and Golovkin was just about to hit him, and then he just kind of pulled back and walked off. And that's what a Golovkin thing, like never hit anybody on the floor. And I ain't really got respect for fighters who hit people on the floor. I just haven't. So that's why I've never been a big fan of Hamza Sheeraz. And somewhere down the line, that kind of behaviour and that the way that he carries himself, when it comes to the crunch,
You know, just on that moment, knowing him as a character and as a person, the way he represents himself, you wouldn't think he's done that deliberately.
Well,
Could it be? Fighters must do that accidentally when in the motion of things.
Well, you could make that case. You might like him, and you might.
No, I'm just being honest because the way he represents himself as a person.
You might be, but it depends. And it weren't the first time with Bradley Skeet.
Because if he was loud and brash and then did that,
well,
then
let me just speak.
Go on.
He did it purposely.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why he did it purposely, because he was getting frustrated with Bradley Skeet. And when fighters aren't sure about what they're doing, they'll resort to another method just to make sure. And knowing full well he wasn't getting disqualified. I'll give you another example of it, right? How it works, just so you're very clear, and so the viewers are very clear. And I'm sure Ricky Hatton won't mind me doing this. When Ricky Hatton boxed Costa Zoo, it was a very, very tough, brutal fight. And everybody thought Costa Zoo was on the slide. And he was giving Hatton a decent fight. And Ricky Hatton's very clever. You're never going to really get disqualified for a low blow. Just one. And he dropped one straight into Costa Zoo's nuts. And that changed the course of the fight. It was a very, very clear, a very, very clever move. And you know what happened to Ricky Hatton? He got a very, very severe telling off. Don't do that again. He didn't need to do it again because the damage was done. It was a smart move. A very smart move. And Ricky Hatton knew he weren't going to get disqualified in front of all them Mancunians in 20,000 in Manchester. No chance. A severe telling off. That's bending the rules slightly. But who's going to complain? Nobody's going to complain. There's only Costa Zoo and himself with his little team. It's 20,000 Mancs, Ricky Hatton and the big build-up and everybody. So it was a smart move. He's not going to get disqualified. You know you're not. And Hamza Sheeraz knew he weren't going to get disqualified against Bradley Skeet. But the point is, when it comes to that fight, and this relates back, this is going to relate back to further down the line with the next conversation we're going to have. It's a kind of a bullying move what Hamza Sheeraz did, and that's all right. We get to the world title fight, well, you make sure you pull it out of the bag then. And he didn't pull it out of the bag. He didn't come up to the mark. And they didn't even give him the proper result because he never got a draw in that fight. That's the wrong thing about it. He was well beaten. So, but they've saved him from having a loss on his record.
Does that actually happen though? Because
what happened?
You know, you're saying they saved him. 2 out of the 3 judges didn't have him losing. 1 had him winning, 1 gave it a draw. And I think
if you had an online vote, you'll realise that Hamza Sheeraz wasn't in that fight. Everybody, even people were messaging me who were Hamza Sheeraz fans saying he's not doing it. Why is he not doing anything? They were expecting something to fire off and it never did. And if any fight you're ever going to have is going to fight when you're going to put everything on the line to win a world title fight, he didn't do that, did he? And that's what you're supposed to do in a world title fight. That's the top, that's the pinnacle, that's the make or break point.
Does it mean much the fact that obviously he jumped up to world level, went the distance? I don't know if you've seen pictures of his hand. He busted his hand, I think, in the middle rounds. Have you seen the pictures? I'll show it to you. That's that was the state of his hand.
Listen, hand injuries are common. Naz had them all the time. Billy Joe Saunders had them. People have fought with broken jaws. It's like it's no excuse, is it? Because you should still be able to beat somebody with one hand. Danny Williams did it. His shoulder popped out and he knocked out Mark Potter. It depends what you want to do. And all it means is that you've been... I'm not saying he has been given an easy ride, but he's been promoted very cleverly all the way through. And it's come to the top. And I would say that is it, what do you call the kid, Kabayel, you say?
Kabayel?
Yeah, is that who he boxed?
Not Carlos Adames.
Yeah, sorry, Adames he boxed.
A genuine world level fighter.
Oh yeah, and I've seen him tough. Very
Big
tough
puncher,
kid. Very, very tough kid.
Very good skills.
Yeah, but he can be outboxed and he has been beat before. So it's not like he's some like knockout merchant who's never been beat. He has been beat. So he's known as a puncher, Hamza Sheeraz. And whenever he broke his hand, I don't know, but he didn't stop that kid in his tracks, and he never really caused him any problems punch-wise. He never hit him enough shots to make him stand back. But you've also got to be able to box when knocking out people doesn't work. So he's got a lot of work to do, Hamza Sheeraz. And for now, they've kept him in the mix. Will he become a world champion? On that performance, with that mindset and what he's doing, currently been doing and having the levels of success, I don't think he's ever going to be a world champion. No. So, you know, that's where he's at. He's got to that point. He's got to a world title fight, and he didn't win it.
Okay, let's see if he proves you wrong. And then next fight, it was the biggest talking point all week. Daniel Dubois pulls out 2 days before. I think I filmed something on him on Tuesday and Thursday. It wasn't from me, by the way, because I was okay all week. He had a viral infection. It's what's come out now. I think swollen glands, and the doctors assessed him, and the boxing board pulled him out. And I think that's official. He didn't pull himself out. The boxing board pulled him out. So just a quick word on that. Have you ever come across a situation where fighters pulled out a few days before with like swollen glands, and how will that affect you?
You know what? Most fighters don't pull out in like a day before or 2 days before. They tend to hide it from everybody and fight, and then put in a poor performance, and then they say afterwards, I was ill. Well, why did you box then? So they're in a bit of a catch-22 situation. Most fighters, when they've been through a camp, and you know, Dubois in a different position because he got money. Most fighters coming through, they need every payday that they get. Every camp's cost them money. If they don't get paid at the end of it, it's costing them money. So most fighters will carry on. You know, Ricky Hatton did it against Manny Pacquiao. He wasn't well, but he got people buying tickets, everybody behind him. He'd done the camp. I spoke to Ricky about that. He goes, I felt shocking, but he goes, you know, you're a fighter, you do it, don't you? He goes, I thought I'd get through it, and I didn't. It was a big mistake. So Dubois probably he has done the wise thing, or whoever's done the wise thing, because it's a big fight regardless, and you know it only takes one fight to lose, and you're back to the bottom of the pile, and it's a fight he can win. So why take the risk? He doesn't need to, because he's financially all right. He can afford the luxury of taking a step back and having a look at Parker and thinking, right, I'll do it again. So fair play to him. It was a smart move.
Well, it looks like he might end up getting the undisputed fight next, so it might be even better.
Well, there you go then.
Martin BAKOLE steps in. I think 2 days notice, from what I've seen in the interviews after they tried to get a private jet because he was in the Congo. They couldn't get a private jet because he said he was at the airport for a good few hours trying to source a private jet. They couldn't get one, so they ended up catching an Ethiopian Airlines flight. I think he caught a couple of them, ended up in Dubai, and then from Dubai he caught the flight to Riyadh. So I'm just curious, have you ever been on Ethiopian Airlines? Because I did a funny interview with Derek Chisora, and he said,
I've heard that Ethiopian Airlines is probably a once in a lifetime trip.
Have you seen pictures of him sat on the seat?
No, but listen, it's same again.
It looked like a 70s business class seat.
You got to give him credit for doing what he did. He's probably more money than he's ever had. He's probably an opportunity he's never going to get again. And he is in the who needs him club. Nobody really wants to fight him. He is dangerous when he's training. Obviously, I saw Spencer saying that he's been ticking over. Well, this is a
he said he hasn't been.
Well, I'm just saying he said that, but
he's been building a shopping mall in Congo.
All right, well, fine, but being a fighter, he probably thought, well, I'll get through that. He's a big fella, and it happens so many times. There's fighters who take fights last minute and get through. I've had fighters do it. I had John Keaton one time fight Gary Delaney. Gary Delaney had 3 opponents pull out on him the week of a fight. John Keaton was just ticking over, and he had a brain scan on a Wednesday. He weighed in on a Friday, and he boxed Gary Delaney on a Saturday and beat Gary Delaney. And he was only ticking over training. But in them days, fighters were always in the gym training. He wasn't training for a fight, but he was fit enough to get through it, and he won. So that's the difference. BAKOLE, maybe if he'd have been training and one of them type of fighters, it had been a different fight. And sometimes you've got to roll the dice and see where it ends up. And if the reward is bigger than the risk, then fine. And his cornerman, quite rightly, pulled him out, and if he's got another fight lined up and he's been promised another fight, well, he's got the chance to redeem himself, hasn't he?
What did you make of the weight? Because I think on average he's weighed around 270, 280.
He's way over, wasn't he?
He was 315 pounds.
He's obviously not been training. He's been eating what he wants to eat. But obviously, I'll tell you one thing about that. The shot that hit him seemed to hit him over the top of the head.
Yep.
at the worst point, you know, like over the top, and he just collapsed, didn't he? It's the worst place to get it. And Parker can punch, but you have to think, you know, that the slot was filled. Apart from both getting paid, did Parker get any credibility out of that? Not really, because he was like a lame duck, really, Bakole at that point. So there can't be really any big celebrations over that. You know, let him get fit, let him do it again when they're both. It'd be interesting to see what the result is.
Some cynics are saying he shouldn't have been in the ring because he landed at 2 a.m. He ended up being made to do some interviews, and then I'm assuming he went to bed 3-4 o'clock, and then I think he said in another interview that he was actually asleep in the changing room before the fight.
You're in that ring for 36 minutes for 12 rounds. 36 minutes. Do you understand? He's an heavyweight. He's not making weight. That's a big killer. Making weight is a. If that was another fighter who had to make a weight, you could have that conversation. But he's walking around a lot heavier. He can naturally fight. He's not had to make a weight. He might not have been training, but he could probably still go in a ring and do half an hour of sparring. Understand? Regardless, he can get in and do it, but he might not win. Understand? And he got dropped, and he stopped at that point. So there is a danger, but they're into danger because the danger would be the dehydration, his brain getting damaged, he's getting hit. He's not. He's well cushioned.
Billy Nelson pulling him out.
Yeah, good move.
Good move.
Good move. Billy's got a payday out of it. Glad because he's been pushing Bakole and championing forever and a day. He's done a good job on him. And obviously, Billy's been around for years with Ricky Burns and everybody else, and he's played it exactly right. And hopefully, they've all got a few quid out of it. And they get, you know, make that rematch again. Let him have a proper go at him, and let's see what happens.
Yeah, I'm genuinely happy for Billy because he does get a bit of hammer online, and you know, he has a lot of back and forth with a lot of people, and he's cashed in. Do you know what I mean?
I don't think he's cashed in. I think he's just made
his hard work's paid off. Basically,
his hard work's paid off. Whatever it is,
all that time, all them years promoting.
He's won the lottery. He's won the lottery.
Yeah, no, I respect that because that's what the game's about, making money, and his guy got the payday even though it was last minute, and I think he's got a guarantee of a return fight as well. So well done to them for putting themselves in that position in the first place. And then the last fight, Bivol, BETERBIEV, you picked. Let me see, what did you pick for
Bivol?
Parker? I don't think we did. You had Parker on points, but obviously he won. Bivol, BETERBIEV, you picked Bivol to win on points this time, and that's exactly what happened. Were the scorecards right? Did the right guy win?
Yeah, but look, like I said, when Bivol boxed BETERBIEV last time, I thought Bivol won. But it's one of them fights where it don't really matter who wins because it's going to be that close. There's no, even in both fights, nobody won by a long stretch. Nobody completely dominated. It was fractions. So those fights, they could even be considered draws. It's just that somebody's got the belts. BETERBIEV had them last time. He was unified. Now Bivol's unified. And they're probably going to have number 3. So, and that'd probably be close as well. Unless time and age catches up with BETERBIEV. And then maybe Bivol's going to win it a bit longer, but you know, by more of a margin. But in that kind of fight, because it's such a good fight, does it really matter who's classed as the winner? Because nobody's dominated at either one. That's how I see it. You know what I mean? That's how I see it. So it was a good fight, a very good, entertaining fight, a solid fight. You know, two very, very high-level athletes taking power shots and boxing, a combination of power shots and boxing. Bivol being the boxer, BETERBIEV being the power shots. And every time, you know, BETERBIEV clipped Bivol, he had to reset and box his way around. There weren't many times when you saw Bivol really making a dent on BETERBIEV. You might hold him back a little bit, but BETERBIEV was always marching forward. It's always going to be that kind of fight. Now imagine a BETERBIEV fighting a BETERBIEV, what kind of fight that'd be. A fighter with similar style, it'd be a tear up. But it's not that kind of. They're not that type of fighters. Bivol's more of a boxer. BETERBIEV is more of a, you know, a fighter. So tremendous fight, and you know, fair play that they've had one each.
Indeed, and just a last word on both of them as people. We saw in the first fight, Bivol had a lot of domestic related issues to deal with. His ex-wife has put in crazy stuff out about him, and getting his kids to put videos out saying, "Oh, Dad's not giving us any money," all that kind of stuff. So he carried a lot of that into the first fight, but he never showed his emotions, publicly. He never said anything publicly. He kind of just bottled it all in, and that was happening all fight week. But he still went in and obviously...
It's a bit of a difference in it when you compare that to Ben and Eubank. It's like the level, and that's how high-level fighters are.
How hard do you think it must have been for him? I don't know if you've had experience of boxers dealing with domestic issues and going into a fight.
Yeah, listen, boxers are that type of... They're in that position anyway where everything's around them chaos. It's like, I don't think I've ever met a boxer where there's not some kind of domestic or some chaos in the life, in the family, their extended family, the girlfriend, the brothers. Like, I don't think there's anybody I've ever met that ain't had that. So, that's probably what creates fighters in the first place. But, when you've got to get into that fight, you've got to have that ability as a fighter to cut off from those things and take the emotion out of it and become stoic and think, right, this is the job what's got to be done. That can wait. That's, somebody could, seriously hit me in this ring. I've got to think about this. And I think if it would have affected Bivol that much, he'd have pulled out the fight. But that's probably why he's a good fighter, because he doesn't let the emotion get wrapped up in what he's got to do. He sees the task for what it is.
BETERBIEV, last word on him was obviously you would have seen the video that I did, when he won the fight last time, and rather than partying, he went to the mosque. And then he did the same again. He lost this time, and his first thing was, "I'm going to go to the mosque and thank God for this lesson."
Fair play to him, and that's what you've got to realise. What's missing in boxing, the grounding. That's what it is. It's like it's not a surprise why these people are successful, because they're grounded and they see boxing for what it is. And it's a job you've got to do, and then you've got to leave that behind. You go back to your normal life and live a normal life. Forget all this partying and being a superstar and a celebrity. Yeah, do it for the cameras, but that lifestyle, it's all fake and pretend, isn't it? So be a grounded person, because you're a long time retired and you're a long time finished in boxing. And who talks about Floyd Mayweather? Who talks about, Cole Frotcher's reinventing himself online? But, it was good. I actually watched Cole afterwards doing a bit on the bag, showing the Bivol, how Bivol box. And he had, good boxing brain, Cole Frotch. And even then, when you see him on the bag, throwing the shots, he's still got what it takes. But he's good at breaking down the fights. And I'm surprised he's not actually doing more commentary. But a very good breakdown, and it's sensible. I'd rather listen to him than half at people they have on DAZN and Sky talking boxing, because he does make sense. So, but that's what you've got to do. You've got to be grounded in boxing. You've got to see it for what it is. Like I say, you're a long time retired and a long time forgot about. So, make the most of it, earn your money, and then, you finish boxing, you move on to something else.
Indeed, and just for everyone that's listening in on Spotify and Apple Podcast, please hit the follow, subscribe button on there, because obviously we're going to put more of this on there as well. And if you're listening and watching on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button and turn notifications on, because you'd be amazed how many of you guys watch this content aren't actually subscribed to the channel. So yeah, please do that. And Dom, before I let you go, I don't know if you noticed, halfway through this interview or podcast, a little snack bar fell out your pocket.
Oh no, you're joking.
So Dom's been nicking stuff from the BYD showroom.
You know what, in fact you need to film it round there. I don't think you should do that, because unless you're going to get a paid advertisement out, but that's the Yi Quan ice cream.
Yeah, Chinese ice cream.
Yeah, and I came in the other week and they've got all this on display because they did a promotion for the Chinese New Year. And I took out some on for the kids, and they were saying to me, "When are you going back down to BYD? You want some more of that ice cream?" So that's decent ice cream, and this is some kind of rice snack bar that they've got on in the way. You might have to put it up, or I might follow them on Instagram, because I'm into, this is all right for a snack. So I thought I'll take this back to the kids, let them try it and see what they're saying.
Indeed. Dom, I think that's it. We've done a full hour. Thank you very much for your time, and yeah, hit up that BYD showroom for that crazy discount on the BYD Dolphin, and thank you for listening. Please hit subscribe and turn your notifications on.